Okay. All right. So thank you all. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Why don't we just quickly go around the room and introduce ourselves? I'm sure you all know each other, but if you could, actually I'm going to call on you and then tell you to introduce yourself. If you could just say your name, where you work, what grade level you are, and anything else that we might need to know as it pertains to AR or STAR testing. So my name is Jennifer. I cover the whole district. I know AR very well. My previous district used Scholastic Reading Inventory instead of STAR. So I'm learning STAR data and how to manage that system. All right, Miss Julia Craig, go for it.
Hi, I'm Juliet. I'm at the elementary library. I've been in here 5 years, and this is actually my 6th year. I'm having a whole lot of fun, but I'm missing the kids this year.
All right, Hope, go for it.
Hi, I'm Hope Sneddon, and I'm the library aide here at the high school, and this is my 4th year.
Chris Johnson.
Hi, English teacher at the high school. I teach honors English 1 and advanced placement lit and comp. This is my 26th year, I think, something like that. So, and I've always done AR. I think Hope's been a huge help, just keeping me straight with all the new technology. So, yeah, I'm excited to be here.
All right, and be done.
Hi everybody, my name is Andreas. I'm here at the middle school. I'm the librarian aide. Yeah, been here this is my 3rd year. So pretty new still, but yeah, having fun.
Okay, Pam, go ahead and introduce yourself. Okay, we're gonna hop over Pam real quick and come back to her. 3rd grade, looks like you might have a couple of people with you.
Is that me? It's just me. I'm Christina Ori. I taught behavior here for a couple years, and then when Mrs. Green retired, I took her position in the 3rd grade. I'm Christina Ori.
All right, Eric, do you want to go ahead and introduce you and maybe Pam as well?
Eric is talking with them. He's with another teacher. So, hi, I'm Pam. I'm here with the life skills in special education teacher. Oh, I'm in the special education classroom. Sort of like I'm one meeting and then come here another meeting. So I am one of the special education teacher here at the elementary school.
Okay, Renee Summers, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Renee Summers. I'm Title I K2 reading specialist. I'm connected with 3rd grade and Tamara Carpenito this year. So as a co-teaching position, this is my 7th year, so it's lucky number 7. And I am interested in the STAR report. So that would be for 2nd grade when I'm looking at reports and looking at data and bringing it together for groupings.
Okay, we will get to STAR. I'm new to the STAR reporting. Again, I'm coming from Lexile SRI land, but we'll dig into some reports in a bit. Heather, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, sorry, it took me a bit to get it started. Hi, I'm Heather and I'm a 2nd grade teacher at Sayusla.
Thanks for joining us. And Hillary, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, Hillary Roach, 7th grade language arts.
Okay, thanks. Lisa, do you want to introduce yourself?
Lisa Utz, special programs.
And Jennifer Lindell, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Lindell, special ed at the high school.
And Rachel Foster is connecting to audio. If you're able to hop in and introduce yourself, awesome. And if not right this second, we can come back to you as well. So I just thought it was really good for us all to say who we are, where we work, what areas and departments we work in, because we're talking about AR and STAR, and kind of, we may end up with more questions than answers during this PD session. And I think kind of an end goal for what we're seeing from the library is that we just want to know more about how we're using AR and STAR testing across the district. And there's always strength and alignment. So any way that we can possibly align, awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do my screen share now. And when I share my screen, it's hard for me to see things like the chat and people coming in to the waiting room. So just bear with me and have patience. Okay, so our game plan today, can you all see my slides now? Okay, awesome. If anybody needs assistance getting logged in today, will you just reach out in the chat or in email to your library assistant at your building, and let's get access taken care of in the moment while we're in this meeting. So if you, for some reason, can't get logged in or need Renaissance assistance, please reach out. I wanted to start out just by taking a couple of minutes to go over, just as a former English department head, coming from a school district and a school with very strong AR usage, just some of the tips and tricks and things that we did to make AR usage across the board sustainable for teachers and actually have an impact on student learning. And then I really want to pop to each building, the elementary, the middle school, and the high school, and have our library assistants share from their perspective things that they're seeing are helpful and successful. And then also we want to crowdsource and get input from you all. What's working at the elementary, middle school, and high school, and then what do you need from us, or what are things we want to see in the future that will help us have a better aligned AR and STAR testing protocol in SIUSLA. So let me hop over to this next slide. So at my last school district, I always liked the analogy of comparing reading to running, or reading to any type of skill acquisition. Okay, it is not by chance that we grow readers. If we can get our students to commit to regular reading as measured by AR, and then we are dedicated to a testing schedule, like we used to test our kids quarterly, and I think maybe at the elementary we're doing that. If you do those two things together, if kids are putting in the practice, they should see the results on their quarterly test. And I would tell them that AR, I used to, a long time ago, very long time ago, my husband and I used to run half marathons, and I am not a practiced or skilled runner. I had to work my butt off for every single half marathon that I ran. I had to do the Hal Higgins training program. It was this extensive training program, and I would have to chip away every single day and train. When I committed regularly to that training program, I would PR at my race, okay? So I feel like reading is the exact same thing. It's not, we don't magically grow as readers. We have to put in the practice, and as we know, we always say 30 minutes of reading practice. And one thing I want to say, so this is very similar, the graphic that you see for the SRI College and Career Inventory report. It looks very similar to our STAR testing report. And I would have my students create, so we had Chromebooks in the classroom, and my students were the ones tracking their data. I tracked their data, but they also had to create student data slides. And what I would tell them about this graphic, about their quarterly data, is that, yeah, you may dip down every once in a while, but overall, by the end of the year, we want to see you go up and improve. One thing that we all know, but was very evident when at the end of the year looking at their year-long data summary, was that you would see instances of our kids who struggle with are socioeconomically disadvantaged students. So like if we had a student who was experiencing homelessness at some point in the year, well, guess what? Their reading data would show when they experienced that homelessness. It was just uncanny. So the reading data that we collect about our students really gives us an insight into more about the kid than just their reading ability. So I just feel like it's so important that we're testing our kiddos quarterly. We know, like per last year, that we couldn't count on SBAC data, Smarter Balanced Assessment data from last year, because we didn't do it. And my experience as a former English teacher is usually that data it's not timely, and it's not something that I can use in the moment to actually inform my instruction to improve growth by the end of the school year. So this next slide I'll just cover quickly. So I follow the reading philosophy by Nancy Atwell. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Nancy Atwell still. She was a famous English teacher. She actually owned her own like charter school on the East Coast. But she has historically had tremendous success with getting students to read, especially striving students. And the students in her school read at least 50 books a year and show just marked growth in their reading scores. But 3 of the categories she believes, and I believe, that good readers read from all 3 categories. Vacation reads are super easy and fun, quick reads. Just rights are where we want our kids to live most of the time. So those are books that are just about at their Lexile level or their ATOS level. And then challenge books are going to be at or above their level, things that they have to grapple with a little bit. So I did work with many English teachers who were super rigid sometimes, where they would say to their children at the high school level, you must get a book that's at or above your Lexile, and that's all you can read for your independent reading for my class. And I was like, well, actually, that's kind of a little stringent, and you're kind of asking a kid that every single time they pick up a book, it's kind of like the equivalent of, if we said reading is like running, it's kind of telling a kid every single time you go out for a run, you must sprint. And so we need to have a little bit of flexibility when we're making stipulations about what we're requiring our kids to read in our classes. Okay, so STAR testing data. This is a snapshot from your class, Chris, from one of your students that Hope shared with me. And I'm gonna flip over here real quick. And so this is just one, this is their beginning of the school year test. So I'm assuming that once they take frequent tests during the school year with STAR, that they'll get some kind of graphic that shows their growth. But this is what it looks like. And you do get a Lexile, and then you also get that ZPD, or the range. And that's what we're currently using across the district, it sounds like, is the ZPD range for books. We're all kind of living in that world right now as far as data goes. And there is a difference between Lexile and ZPD. ZPD is oftentimes more accurate because it's using 4 data points to create that range, whereas Lexile, when kids are testing, I think it's just 2 data points that gives us that 1 number. But can I ask a question right now? And can someone from the elementary, middle school, and high school just tell me, how frequently are we testing our kiddos? So elementary people first. What are our current protocols? Heather.
Yeah, so last year we were testing them quarterly. And we didn't do it any more frequently than that because
that's enough.
Yeah. I mean, there was times where students were like, oh, I really want to improve my reading score, my reading level, but we're like, well, to make it as perfect as possible, we need to wait quarterly. And then this year, we are planning to do it quarterly still, but we were kind of gauging because it's virtually, it's kind of hard to get a accurate score since they're doing it at home. Some parents are helping a little more than usual, but
we are finding that they're helping, aren't they?
Yeah.
Someone, I think it was Julia, was telling me that one of our maybe first grade teachers was actually screen sharing and having the kid on a Google Meet, and the teacher was asking the student questions and was answering the test as the student to make sure that it was an accurate test. So that's
a good idea.
One idea. I don't know how well that worked in the long run, but
yeah.
Eric, were you going to say something?
Well, just separate out the term quarterly. There was also a beginning of the year test, so it's a kind of a pre-test for the beginning. So
we're doing like pre-tests and then one each quarter as well?
That sounds about right. I was thinking it was maybe one of the quarters they didn't do it, but sort of at the right around conferences and then right around the end of the first semester and then at the end of the year.
Okay. How about middle school? We have a couple of middle school people. Can you tell the group what testing looks like at the middle school level?
Yeah, we test 3 times a year. So usually September, January, February-ish, and then April, May-ish.
Okay. And then how about at the high school? Chris, what are we doing lately at the high school?
You have to ask Hope. I don't know if anybody else is even doing AR other than me. I think the dinosaur. When there was Reading Renaissance and it was a real district-wide focus. So it's honors freshman kids who are reading AR for me, and that's the only class I have that does AR. AP doesn't do it.
Okay.
But I test them. I mean, most of the kids in honors English have been pre-selected from someone at the middle school, one of the Roaches, to put them in the class. So I mean, I do it almost as just to make sure there's not somebody in there who maybe is in the wrong course. And then for the most part, I mean, like this particular one you have is probably one of the lower ones in the class. So they're generally, I'm just making sure they're at grade level. I do have them read one book off of a required list per quarter, just because if they're going to take honors classes, they're going to sooner or later have to figure out how to do something that's a little bit more challenging. And then they can pretty much read whatever they want, provided that they're in their range. But I haven't really retested. I mean, if you're talking about the STAR test, you're not talking about the STAR test. Yeah, I used to retest at the end of the year, but I kind of just remember all the trainings with AR that said if you really do read a half an hour a day, you're gonna get a year's worth of growth at least, and sometimes more. And I used to do that just to make sure that it was really happening, and I was pretty confident that they were doing it. But the kids in my classes are testing pretty regularly in terms of their AR tests, and then they're just using their AR score to figure out where they go in their range. If they get 100%, they need to go up. If they get less, they need to go down. But to me, as long as they're in that range and they at least pick one book a quarter that is a little bit meatier, and there's some stuff on there on those that I put that list together myself. There's a lot of things that are pretty easy to read, and you can usually find something for somebody. But I haven't retested, and it takes a while, and so
it's another thing.
I feel like I can get data from their AR scores, and if they're accumulating points and reading in the range, I feel like we're in the right spot. Okay.
Well, I think it's just really good to hear from the group across the district, like what we're doing, right? Let me pop over next to this next slide. I'm gonna log into AR right now to just run a couple of reports, and I encourage you all to open another screen and run some reports with me. So let me actually get logged in. You all can log in while I'm logging in. Staff resources, there we go. And as you all probably discovered, the whole interface changed right before school started, which is always lovely. Like you think you know how to do all the things, and then they changed it up on us. But so this is what AR looks like this year. And the couple of resources that I was going to share with you are Okay, so from my previous school district as a former English department head, here's how we made AR work for us. First of all, we had to tell everybody, and I was coming from a building that had a tremendous amount of turnover. And so we had constantly new people every single year. So we had a training plan for AR. So we set up in-service training for all teachers, best practices. We do a mid-year check-in and an end-of-the-year check-in for training. And we had departmental agreements. We said at South or in SIUSLA, all kids read. So all kids are going to read books, and we're going to measure what they're reading because we're all going to require them to take AR tests on those books. So I think we need to maybe get to a point where we're all committing to that. And that has to come from our admin as well. Like we all just need to be on the same page. And then we may also, what we did at my former school was we had a school-wide and a departmental commitment to test our kids every quarter. Across the board. And it started at the high school where we said we're testing every quarter because we can't rely on SBAC data. And then it trickled down to eventually to the elementary. So it ended up K-12 every quarter. Our kids were doing a test, a Scholastic Reading Inventory test. And it informed so many decisions that we made, not only referral for services, but also like you were talking about, Chris, it was we used the testing data to place kids in courses at the high school. So anyway, we started out with agreements. I already shared with you a little bit about Nancy Atwell, but I believe as an English teacher, if I'm going to expect my kids to read and take AR tests, I better be doing it too. We have, at one point in time, I had an AP English teacher who, to get an A in her class, she was expecting her kids to read at least 50 AR points a quarter, which isn't hard, but when you're taking like 4 AP classes, that's a lot of extra. And I asked her, I'm like, are you reading 50 AR points a quarter and keeping up with your own workload that you're requiring your kids to do? And she said, no. And she said, well, I'll give it a shot. And she did. And then she ended up decreasing the number of points that she was requiring from kids. So whatever you're asking, we have to model it and practice what we preach. And then now the reports that I ran on a regular basis, every single week, I ran the diagnostic summary report, and there's a screenshot of this, and I'm going to pop in and show you how to run that. You probably already know. From the library, when I moved from the English classroom into the library, I began to run the school-wide summary report, and I shared that with all teachers mid-quarter and end of the quarter. And there are some other fun reports that we can pull. So I gave you all a link to this document called the AR How-To. Some of these instructions need to be updated because they haven't updated since they switched the interface. But I printed this document out, and I would print copies for our teachers, and I told them to set it right next to their computer screen so that when they needed to run reports, it was their quick guide. And these were all the regular things that we ran. But here's the diagnostic summary. So you go to AR, reports, and then I always have to look back. Yeah, just diagnostic practice. It should be, I just ran one this morning. Diagnostic summary.
Jen, I'm
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Where did you say that that purple to-do sheet was, or how-to sheet was?
Yeah, well, how about I share these slides with everybody?
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
In the chat. And thank you for asking that question. And thank you for being patient with me as I navigate all my technology. Now I have to find my chat button. Oh my goodness, there it is. Okay, I just popped it into the chat. And you can open the slides, and the link is on slide 5. There's a link right there. Thank you for asking me that. So diagnostic summary, again, I clicked on AR reports and then summary diagnostic report. And I'm just going to run it with Greg Jorgensen's students. And I would run this every single Monday and walk around the classroom and check in with my kids. I would print it out. And I would honestly just walk around and check in with them like, hey, you set a goal of how many points for the quarter? I see you're at 34.9. Awesome. Also, what page of your book are you on? How's it going? Tell me something about your book. And you have to make time to do that. I think you have to make time for these little check-ins concerning AR to get the kids to actually use the program and to see growth. But this report gives you your whole class, what their goal is, what they actually have, percentage, of their goal that they've met, time they've, been engaged in reading for the day. Does anyone else use this report, and what questions do you have? Yeah.
I have a question about just like if other people are doing this and how they're doing it virtually.
Yeah, good question. Yes, virtually, because I'm talking about running a report, putting it on my clipboard, and walking around the classroom. How would we do this virtually? It could be during your individual check-in times with your kids, or again, I'm coming from high school, secondary land. This would probably be an email to each kiddo for me. But if you're working with little elementary kids, you're not emailing them. So anybody have any fun ideas about how to check in weekly with your kids, especially if they're little, virtually?
When you said it, I was trying to think like I'm not walking around with a clipboard. I have been telling them to do, reading at home, but checking in with them has been obviously more difficult. But we do a journal entry every day.
Right? There's the little journal feature in Seesaw, which all of our elementary people are using Seesaw. Secondary people, if you're not aware of that.
So I could have them add it to that, or I could do like a Seesaw assignment once a week and have them check in just like less often, but an actual assignment to plug in. Yeah, it's harder, but
it's harder.
I think there's ways that I could plant it in. I was just trying to see if anyone else is already doing it and how it's going.
Jill or Heather, do you have any suggestions for elementary land?
I was just
Go ahead, Heather. I'll come in after.
Oh, sorry, Jill. I really don't have any right now. I was just like thinking when Christina brought up that good point, I was like, I know just initially I've just tested my higher readers with STAR. That's where I've started. And they're just now starting to take AR tests. But I thought I would probably meet with them because we have like group time in the afternoon. I thought I would just check in with them there, have like weekly check-ins.
Mm-hmm. Jill, you were going to say something?
I said, and Christina, this might be one of those things that we haven't talked about, so let me know and I can show you. After the kids take their STAR reading test, then I go in here and set up, at the beginning of the year, I base their goal on 20 minutes of reading a day. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a read aloud by me or reading on their own, I'd like them to read on their own too. And then it sets the goal for them.
Are you actually going in and putting the goals into AR, Jill?
Well, when I put the 20 minutes in, and based on their reading levels, and then I have the program set the goal for the kids, and then I have a bookmark. I don't have one here handy. Heather knows what it looks like. Mm-hmm. I sent a bookmark home. It's an AR reading level bookmark. So I sent it home in our last supply pickup, because by then almost all the kids had taken the test. So it has their goal for the quarter. So each quarter we do this, has their goal for the quarter based on the minutes in their reading level. And then it has their AR reading level. So it has their reading range in there from their low to their high, so that they can, when they go to pick out a book, they know that they should stay within that range. And then if they want to go over or go under, they have to get permission for that. normally when we're in the classroom, I have something up on the wall that shows I move the kids up. So each week they have, you know, maybe they're at 26% or maybe they're at 50%, depending on where we are in the quarter. And then their names move up so they can see it. I have to say right now, though, that one of my kids she's already met and exceeded her goal.
Wow.
She's at 200% of her goal. Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids who haven't done anything. And I have listed all the books. Today I posted the books on a piece of paper on my classroom chalkboard so that they could see the exact title, the author, the reading range of the book, the ones that I've read aloud since we've started school. And I still have 6 kids who haven't come in and taken an AR quiz, and they're supposed to be taking at least a weekly AR quiz.
Well, and my son is in her class, and he's one of them that has probably not done anything or just one. But he's very excited that he can take a test on ones that she's read. He's like, oh, that's cool, you know. Because, I mean, he's a good reader, but he's not really, like, very motivated to read.
Yeah.
But if I read with him, that's really motivating for him, or if he's listening to a story.
So I usually, at the end of the quarter, and so this little girl, for example, that has completely surpassed her goal, is something that I do. I go to BJ's and get a $5 gift certificate for the ice cream store.
That's awesome.
At the end of the year, all the kids who met their goal through the year got one. So I have little incentives for them besides, you know, this is awesome and you're moving your way up the board. Last year it was, how many times would you circle the continents? There's 7 continents. So all the percentages were on a continent and their names moved up. They like seeing their names.
Mm-hmm. I think that,
yeah.
I think our students respond well to data. Right? Like they really do. And I just pulled this open. So if you go to Record Book and Goals and you put in the goal into the AR system, again, this is the new interface this year. It's changed from last year. But when you enter the goals, when the kids log in on their ends, they get a little graphic like in the upper corner of their screen, and it'll show them a progress bar towards meeting their goal. So just like you were saying, teachers, like in your classrooms, you would move them along on a chart. There is kind of a way we can do that within AR, but it requires you entering the numerical goal for each kid into the system. And I used to have like a student aide do that for me. I'd open up my AR, and so there are easy ways to get the data in there, but it's just a suggestion.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
So I just found that out actually earlier today because my students like to see that little flower grow.
Oh, is it a flower this year?
The flower grow.
Okay. Yeah. At the very end of the test, they can see their little flower. So I think I did that right. I said it just like Jill was mentioning to their, like I did 20 minutes of reading a day because that's what I asked them to do. And like I said, I'm only starting this with my higher kids right now. I have a lot of really low readers, and this is just really, really, really hard for them to even finish a book right now. So, but it's really motivating for my higher readers right now virtually. So I think I did it right. I just went into that where you were just at, Jen, and I just, I based it on 20 minutes of reading. And it's so like, for instance, because one of my students was like a 1.7 to 2.7 reading level. I think his goal now is like 5.3 or something, based on 20 minutes. So yeah, over there where it says total points goal, that's the goal that Yep.
Yes. So now Linton.
Right there. I have 2 students that have done it already.
And now when they log in, they'll just, again, I haven't logged in as a kid yet this year to see it. You're telling me it's a flower, but they will get a graphic and they will see progress moving towards their goal, and it's just motivating for kids.
Okay, so they're gonna see like a bar and they'll see the flower.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Log in as a kid this year and try.
So,
the kids love that flower. They love to see it get watered when the test is over.
Yes.
So my question, I'm kind of wondering, so I put in the test date. I have to change that every quarter. So when they test again, I'll change the date when I go to do second quarter. And then it just populates. I don't have to put the goal in.
Oh,
it
and that might be a new
populates.
feature.
Because it bases it off of their test. So it knows their reading range. And then I just put in how much time I want them to read, and then it populates. I don't have to give the goal. It automatically populates, and then I save it. So it's there all the time.
Okay.
So like my goal that I just created for that little boy Landon, based on his 20 minutes a day, I think it was 7.3 points. That's for the quarter, right? So like November or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
And I can just change it. Okay. Thank you.
Hey, we can, I'm just taking a look at the time. We have about 9 minutes left, and these are the conversations we need to have. I'm just going to move us along, and it sounds like we need to circle back and make sure everyone knows how to enter goals into AR appropriately so kids can see graphics and be motivated to meet their goals. Let's see, the other we covered. Oh, I'm just going to show one other quick thing that there are so many new reports in the updated version of Renaissance that I haven't even explored all of them. But where did I find the snapshot that I thought was pretty cool? And some of these I may have access to as having administrative access that you may not. But well, wherever I found it, I was able to generate this little snapshot. So I think you can do this for the school and also for your class. So in the month of October, elementary students have read that many books, that many words, that many minutes a day. Okay. The more we can put data in front of kids, and data in front of teachers, and data in front of administrators, I think the more success we'll see. Here, I cannot forget about this one. So AR short stories, I've also shared a folder of short stories. I need to add elementary short stories here. They are all for secondary right now. But we have to make kids be successful. And so whenever I would have a reluctant reader in my class, or even in my library, who's like, I'm not going to check out a book, or I don't feel like reading today. And I'm like, well, we have 15 minutes. You are going to read. You have a choice from all of these short stories, and they're all worth either a half of an AR point or 1 point total. And I would keep a crate of these things printed out in my classroom and just hand kids the stories. So they're all open access classic short stories, and I must have at least 50 or more in this folder, and I'll keep adding to them. But another good thing, just like Jill said, like, hey, I am reading you a short story, right, or a children's book right now. It's worth a half a point when I'm done reading to you. Take the test. Like sometimes you have to force kids to be successful. This is just another tool for that. Okay. Here is some data that I shared with our administrators, and then I really want to hear from Julia, Andreas, and Hope. So just some data that I pulled. In the library, I think that the formula for success is book circulation. Really, book circulation, you want to think of it like the heartbeat of a school. Okay, and if you look at our heartbeat for the elementary, we were beating strong for the past how many years? And then you see how we were living in like 13 to 14 little, year of 12,000 circulations, and then we dropped down to 8,000, right? And then the last quarter was 174 checkouts, and we're trying to get. We flatlined, people. We flatlined, and we need our heart beating again. Okay, so you can see the flatlining that happened across the board. And then this was last year's total AR points. I just thought this was interesting: 9,000 plus at the elementary, 12,000 plus at the middle school, and then 162 points, which I'm guessing all came from Chris Johnson's honors class last year. And we would like to see more. We would like to see departmental usage across the board. And then the star growth was sporadic. And then if you look over on the right-hand side, I, like from the district level, from the library, have to keep eyes on, we are investing a lot of money into AR, and so are we getting our bang for our buck? And you can see, and obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic, but you can see the number of licenses purchased that should be utilized and then how many are actually being utilized. And I'll let you know that we're paying $23.55 a kid for, so it's really expensive. That's all I'm gonna say. So a long story long, we need more usage. Okay, so Julia, we have 5 minutes left. Julia, do you want to just share a couple of things that are working well for you? And then we'll hop over to Andreas and Hope.
Okay. Well, as this is a different time, it's kind of hard too, because I really like pumping kids up to read books, but we'll get back on track hopefully next quarter, to where I'm able to share information with the kids and do some book talks with the kids. And then also end of quarter, something that they can't see now, but I like to share their overall AR points. And that's something that gets kids really motivated and really wanting to read and take tests as well. So I'm hoping that we can make find a way to make all of this work so that we can motivate the kids back on track again.
As an outsider, new to a system, I see that the elementary has the most alignments. They have the most universal agreements about usage and testing, and which kind of makes sense because it's elementary land and there's a lot of tracking that needs to happen with our young kids. And Julia does an amazing job with incentivizing reading. Andreas, and I took some notes about what things that we need to talk about at the elementary level. Andreas, if you would like to share a little bit about your library.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay? I hope. At the middle school, we kind of have a different kind of approach. It's kind of more based towards each classroom. The one that engages most in AR would probably be 6th grade. Kelly Dotson does a really good job of kind of integrating AR into her classroom. And so last year, one of our kind of success stories was, last year was our first year with a genrefied library. And to get kids to explore the other genres that they might not be naturally geared towards, she created a genre wheel. And we kind of worked with the other members of the English department and even some members of our SPED department. And we kind of created a way to encourage students to explore different genres in the library. And if they were able to complete the genre wheel, then they would get a prize at the end. We were going to have a really cool party. Our plan was to have pizza and a movie, and that did not happen because COVID had other plans. But I'm really hoping that in the future we can start that back up again. I thought it was really cool. I got to see firsthand students that got to explore historical fiction, and they didn't know that that was something they were into until they were kind of prompted to do that with the genre wheel.
Are there, can you think of or anticipate, I'm thinking, I don't see Hillary on here any longer, maybe I'm just not seeing her. Are there any needs that we have from the middle school level that we're not addressing right now that we can address?
Yeah, so I think that just from talking from other middle school teachers, I think that just going from the ground up is the best approach. I think there's a lot of frustration in that there hasn't been a lot of training with the program at all. And I mean, I've mostly just learned it from watching YouTube and asking other people how to get to different resources myself. And being, you know, this is my 3rd year, there's still a lot that I don't know. So I think that just having a, you know, starting from square one and then working our way up is the best solution. That's kind of what I've been hearing. I know there's also frustration, and I'm sure this applies to pretty much every teacher, that there's already a combination of other testing that the English teachers kind of have to take on. So I don't know if there's a way to streamline that process. I know that at the middle school we do Easy CBM, and I don't believe that all the schools do that. I think the elementary does, but I'm not sure if the high school does. So I've heard people be like, well, maybe we can try to streamline the process and we can only, do a selective number of tests as opposed to all of these tests at once. So
Yeah, as a former English teacher, we were always like, oh, woe is us, English teachers, but we were responsible for the most data points, state data points and localized data points. We were the administrators of all the tests and the monitors of all the data. It got to be a lot. Not to cut you short, but it's 4:01. Hope, do you want to share a little bit about success stories and then what are needs at the high school?
Yeah, so primarily at the high school, Chris Johnson is one of the only teachers that has used STAR and AR in the years past, well, since I was in high school. And I noticed his students specifically in the next coming years of their high school career are more likely to return to the library and be readers, not just reading the books that are assigned in their classrooms, but coming to check out books, even if they're not. I've even actually had a few students ask if they could take an AR test in their sophomore or junior year because they did AR with Chris, but they didn't have a teacher requiring it at the time. So I think that, I'm excited that hopefully we can bring this back kind of in our district, K through 12, but it just does show that it does hook kids. Last year was the first year that we used it in basic English, and we did STAR tests every quarter for them, and especially with an increase in graphic novels, getting some of those kids hooked that may not always come to the library was important, and using graphic novels as a way to get them interested in reading. And I, like Andreas has done, I am in the process of genreifying my library to get more interest.
That's good for everyone to know. So at the secondary level, we're genreifying. So just like when you walk into Barnes & Noble and you see the genres of shelves of books, that's what we're doing. It just, Andreas experience, you doubled your circulation numbers, which was awesome. That's what we're looking for. So I'm gonna, oh, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was just celebrating.
Oh, celebrate. Oh, here, can you see it when I do this? This is my confetti cannon. Did you see confetti? Okay. One more time, confetti. So I always like to be mindful of time, and we're over. This was a lively conversation about AR, and I feel like it's just a beginning. And I want to remind everyone that we have a Google Classroom for all of our little PD sessions, and everything from today will be housed here, and I'll put this recording in the Google Classroom as well. The schedule of upcoming events is right here. And we can have another AR STAR testing session. Usually if you look at the topics that are listed there, usually I just keep repeating them because they're things that everyone needs and you can't always get to a session. But I'm feeling like we might want to do another AR testing check-in in a month or so. And would you all email me any feedback or specifics that you want to see in another session when we hop off? And do you have any final closing comments right now for the good of the group?
I just feel like this is something that it's sustaining through virtual teaching. Like it's something we used in our classroom, but it's not going away through virtual learning. It's actually connecting us more. And with like Epic and Mayan and things like that we're using in class, I really want to tap into it even more because it's one of the only ways that I can connect with my kids still through reading. So yeah, I want to learn more.
Okay. Anybody else final closing comments? All right, I feel like we all just need some more practice running reports and having conversations about best practices in digital environments. So that'll maybe be the agenda for our next AR session. So I'm gonna stop sharing and stop recording. And thank you all for joining us, and we'll just see you next time, and email me any feedback that you may have. Okay, bye.